All right, Chair, we are live.
All right, thank you. I will now call to order the May 29th, 2024 meeting of the Nevada Local Adjustment Reinvestment Coordinating Council. Good afternoon. It's good to see all of you. And welcome to those who are viewing the meeting on the Department of Sentencing Policy YouTube channel. This is the third meeting of our 2023-2025 meeting cycle. I would also like to welcome two new members that have been appointed. We have Mr. Clinton Honenstein and Mr. James Phoenix from Washoe County. So welcome, you guys. I will now ask Director Powers to take roll.
Thank you, Chair. Michael Chop. Demar Dahl. I know Mr. Dahl is here. Bill Ferguson.
Over here, it's already phone.
Dylan Frainer.
Present, but I will have to leave at 2 o'clock for court.
Okay, thank you. Mackenzie Hilton. Clinton Hohenstein. Brenda Ingram.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay,
Eric Kern. Chelsea Mazza.
Here.
Thank you. William McCurdy II. Julia Murray.
Present.
Oh, thank you.
Also present.
James Phoenix.
He
He is here. Garrett Pruitt.
Present.
Thank you. Dorothy Rowley. Stephen Rye.
Present.
Thank you. Bryce Shields. Clinton Zenz. And Chair Bird.
Present.
Chair, we do have a quorum.
Perfect. Thank you all. Might I also just place a reminder that if you are not speaking, if we could stay on mute, that would be great to help for the communication and clarity. All right. Go ahead, Hunter. Thank you. I will now open agenda item 2, but I believe Hunter needs to open it up for public comment. We'll have one at the beginning of the meeting and one at the end. Members of the public have 2 options for submitting a public comment. First, members of the public may do so in writing by emailing the Department of Sentencing Policy at sentencingpolicy@ndsp.nv.gov. Public comment received in writing will be provided to the council and be included by reference in the minutes of the meeting. Members of the public who wish to testify may do so by telephone. Due to time constraints, public comment will be limited to 2 minutes. Any member of the public that exceeds the 2-minute limit may submit your comments in writing to the Department of Sentencing Policy. Callers, as a reminder, please mute the device on which you are watching the meeting. All sound will come through your telephone at this time. I will ask staff to manage and direct those who wish to testify by phone. Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Chair. Members of the public who would like to testify by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. When it's your turn to speak, press *6 to unmute, and then please slowly state and spell your first and last name. We have no callers who wish to testify, Chair.
Thank you, Hunter. I will close the first period of public comment. Moving to our agenda item 3, members of the council have been provided copies of the minutes from the August 2nd, 2023 and March 13th, 2024 meetings. Are there any edits, comments, or corrections? Seeing none, I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the August 2nd, 2023 and March 13th, 2024 meetings.
All motion to approve the minutes.
Julia Marie, second.
Thank you, Garrett and Julia. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion passes. I will now open agenda item number 4. We are going to have a re-entry presentation at the May 17th, 2024 Nevada Sentencing Commission meeting. The Truckee Meadows Community College Career and Partnership Program presented. It was an overview of their program and discussion regarding what is needed in the re-entry community. One of the speakers was a formerly justice-involved individual who brought needed perspective to the topic. For this agenda item today, we will be having a viewing or replay of the presentation, as I believe it was very worthwhile. The only downfall is the lack of live question and answer period. However, we can provide contact information if anyone wants further communication with the participants. So now we will watch a presentation.
So, Cindy, I appreciate very much you being here today. I can't find you on my screen right now, so I apologize, but we will turn it over to you for your presentation.
Thank you very much, Chair. I appreciate that. My name is Sydney Sullivan, and I am the Program Director for the Career and Partnership Programs at TMCC. I have 2 colleagues with me today, Dean Amy Williams, who is the Dean of Business and Social Sciences, and Jared Orcutt, who is our newly hired coordinator for the Educational Partnership Program. And I brought a PowerPoint. Is it okay to go ahead and share my screen? Okay, wonderful. Okay, can you all see that? Okay.
Yeah, it's up here.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. As I said, I have some colleagues here. Amy, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning. I'm Amy Williams. I am the Dean of Business and Social Sciences here at TMCC, and I have been involved with our JIVE program since the beginning, more on the academic side. So I try to help with making academic connections for our students who are justice involved.
And this is Sydney Sullivan again. I have been involved for just under 2 years as the director for this program. And I'm seated in the student life under student services at TMCC. So we work on the coordination of academic and financial support for our Justice Involved program. Jared?
Hi, my name is Jared Orcutt. I'm the Educational Partnership Programs Coordinator at Truckee Meadows Community College. I've been in this role about a month now, but I am an ex-offender. I come from a background involved in the criminal justice system, and I've spent 17 years incarcerated in the Nevada Department of Corrections. I was a participant in the JIVE program. I was able to successfully graduate, and my role as the coordinator is to assist our participants in whatever way is necessary. I really help them in a holistic manner as each participant needs something different to be successful.
And just to keep us on track here, am I correct? And we have about 20 to 30 minutes, is that correct?
Yes, Cindy, as much time as you need.
Okay. Thank you, Georgia. And we do want to make sure that this is a conversation. So please, if you have questions or comments or need clarification, please speak up. I can't see everyone on my screen. So please do feel free to interrupt us, and we'll try to make sure that we have time at the end of this for questions as well. We wanted to start by kind of talking about our recent success here. Our program has been growing and growing. We do have Jarrett as our full-time coordinator. He also oversees the SNAP ENT program, which is a collaboration with the Department of Welfare and Support Services and the Displaced Homemakers Grant, which TMCC has held since 1987. All three of these are workforce grants to help our students with barriers to become more self-sufficient. Specifically about the JIVE program, you can see that we've had an increase each semester from 22 students in spring of 23 to 34 in fall of 23, and just this last spring, 48 students. This summer, we have 8 students so far. We still have a couple that are waffling about whether or not they want to take classes in the summer. And we don't really push our summer classes because they are short and condensed classes, but we do have a few diehard students who are ready to take that on and are really pushing forward towards their degree. We do work closely with the Northern Nevada Transitional Housing, which Amy is going to talk about a little bit later. But because of the structure of the NNTH, they do not have access to financial aid and cannot qualify for Pell Grants. So this Justice Involved program is very important to help support them in following their career goals. We do have some, and I'm sure you all are aware of this, the statistics around people who complete their degrees and the recidivism rates being so low, much lower than the general population. This study was out of New York. This article was out of New York, and that 2% of college educated inmates return to prison for new felony convictions compared to 42% of the general population. So I think we all agree that education is definitely a good thing for our for offenders who are coming out of prison to reintegrate into society.
So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about a handful of our success stories just real recently. And these really are stemming from our partnership primarily with Northern Nevada Transitional Housing. A few years ago, we were able to connect with them and get permission from NDOT to actually install a small computer lab in their facility, which made it a possibility for their inmates to be able to participate in any TMCC classes that were online. And so that helped students who were interested or people who were interested in being students to be able to participate in any online program that TMCC offered. Some of their inmates are allowed to come to campus for classes and some are not. So this really opened a door for them to be able to study, do their homework, really be actively involved as a college student, just like any other college student. And it's been a fantastic program. And so one of our success stories is Jarrett, who we have with us here today. He was one of the first students that I actually connected with at NNTH. And he had been incarcerated for 17 years and then was in transition there and was able to join our program as a student and just really found his mission in being a successful student, excuse me. And has a 4.0 GPA and just really was a star student right from the beginning. He fell in love with learning and with being educated and with being involved with the college and was clearly an avid learner right from the start. We're excited to say that he was able to transition out and as an employee with us. He started as a student worker. He got involved with our clubs and was the president of our Business and Entrepreneurship Club and our History and Political Science Club. He was in student government and was just really actively involved in so many ways. And just graduated last week, actually, and graduated with a 4.0. So he was one that was honored on stage above all other students and graduated summa cum laude with his associate's degree and is now working on his bachelor's degree. So he's a great example of how education can really change lives. And then we have another student, Matt, who also was in and out of prison multiple times and just never really had any vision of what his future could be like. He just had no hope. I don't want to read all of the quotes that we have to you, but this one in particular, I do want to read to you because I know a handful of you are not able to see the screen driving or what have you. So Matt said, the Jive program has been instrumental in giving me a life I never imagined I was worthy of. From an early age, I struggled through abuse and neglect that later involved drug addiction and incarceration. With the help of Jive, I am one semester away from earning an associate's degree in the social work field. Not only have I finally realized my potential, I'll soon be in a position to do the same for others. I'm beyond grateful for the support of this program. Now, Matt is also employed at TMCC. We've employed him in our library as a student worker, where he plans to continue his employment even through his bachelor's degree at UNR, which he'll start when he graduates with social work at TMCC. He's a fantastic employee. He has so much hope for his future, and he really attributes that to seeing a future through education and seeing that he had the hopes of having a career where he could really help people.
Another one of, oh, go ahead, Amy, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, I'm going to let Sydney talk about this one.
So the next student is Heather Morton. She she was brought to me by an instructor. She was a single parent, had just been reunified with her 2 children, and was trying to figure out how to balance everything, balance all of the meetings that were being required of her through the various programs that she was working with in her parole and probation. She was a welding student. She was being required to find a job on top of it, attend her sobriety meetings, and try to figure out childcare on top of it, and getting her kids to and from those daycare options. And she was in tears. And it ended up that her passion for welding, we went back and spoke to her instructor, and he said, I'll hire you right now. And so for the last 1.5 years, she's been working at the college as an instructional assistant in the welding lab. And she has really, really blossomed. She is living in her own place now with her girls, and has been honored. She doesn't think she's a great public speaker, but she keeps being asked by our foundation to speak to our scholarship sponsors about her journey. Her plan is to finish her associates in the next year and then go out and get some industry experience, and then come back and finish her bachelor's degree so she can teach at TMCC. She's really an amazing example of someone who was up against all kinds of hardships and has really turned her own life around by seeking out the opportunities that might be available to her.
This is Lee Owensby, and he was actually one of the first students from NNTH that we worked with, and he actually is instrumental in helping us set up the Jive program initially. He actually testified at the legislature for us on what education meant to him, and really helped us get the funding to support Jive, and helped us get the permission to have the computer lab at NNTH. So he was very instrumental in sharing his story with others. And he just graduated last week as well, also with a 4.0 in social work. And he is continuing his education at UNLV in social work. And it's just a fantastic story as well of somebody who didn't see that he had the potential to be a highly educated person with a career and doing good things in the community. And he is so excited to give back and make a difference now. And it's just a great story of somebody who got involved and finally saw their potential and really worked hard to achieve his dreams. And he's very excited about that. I just wanted to really express how the partnership at NNTH has made such a difference for so many people. I think the next slide might talk a little bit more about that, but we started with just a handful, and as those people saw their fellow inmates really having their life be changed by education, more and more and more of them have been interested in getting involved. And we're seeing these stories like the couple that we just shared with you happen over and over and over again. And we're seeing it change lives. And so actually about, I think about a third of the inmates at NNTH are now active TMCC students, and they're doing fantastically well. These aren't students who are just, you know, getting by or trying to get credit. They're actually students who are seeing a hope and really trying hard, and oftentimes getting straight A's and just really getting actively involved as students at TMCC. So it's really exciting. You'll see this quote on the screen right now from Lieutenant Wilson at NNTH. But basically he's just expressing to you what a difference it's made and how life-changing it has been, and how they're just so thankful for this opportunity. So for any of you who might have been involved in making this opportunity happen for these people who are justice involved, we're very thankful to you. And I know so many of our students are thankful to you for that.
We work with a lot of community partners. Obviously, NNTH is a very strong one. We also work with the Second Judicial Court and Reno Justice Court, the Reentry Court, parole and probation, and then a lot of the community organizations who also help support our students. Ridge House and Join and Community Services Agency, Employee NV, the Food Bank of Northern Nevada was a partnership that we had started with, because we found that a lot of our students across the board were hungry. And so now we have food banks at 3 of our 4 campuses, and the 4th one's going to be coming online in the next year. And we find that our justice involved students do frequent the food banks that we have on those campuses in order to make sure that their studies can stay front and center and in their journey. And we work with many more as well. So we wanted to take a minute and talk and let Jarrett tell you a little bit more about his journey. And again, if you have questions, please feel free to unmute and speak up and let us know. Jarrett has been definitely one of our shining stars in this program. Jarrett, do you want to unmute and talk a little bit about your journey of where you came from and how you ended up where you are now?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Sydney. So, like I said in the beginning, I have a total of 17 years in custody in the Nevada Department of Corrections over the course of 3 sentences, all for drug trafficking. You know, and I'll be honest, every time I got out, the first time I got out, I had best intentions. I did not want to go back to prison. I did not want to commit a crime or break the law. But what would happen is I didn't really have a plan in place. What I myself thought, what so many of the people I knew in custody thought, I just need a car, a job, and a place to live. And once I get those things, I'll be good. And so it wasn't enough. If I did get the job and I had the place and I had the car, I really had no purpose in my life. And so, you know, I hear it all the time. Guys would say, I'm not going to have any friends. I'm not talking to those people. I'm not going back to the same people. I'm not going to talk to them. And then they don't talk to anyone. Now I'm just going to stay home. And I mean, that doesn't work. They have no social connections, no support system. And so, you know, recidivism happens, you know, unfortunately at such a high rate. And whether it's drug addiction or the lack of purpose or going back to those same friend groups, you know, there's a lot of reasons. And so for me, on this last sentence, I was given 10 to 25 years. And, you know, I started working early on in this sentence. I started working in the library, and it gave me a reason on a daily basis, you know, to not get in trouble. I didn't want to lose my job. I really liked my job. Being in a place of education, we devised programs to get more people involved in education. And sometimes it was, you know, the carrot. If we got administration to agree we could have a movie channel on the weekend if we got a lot of people signed up for high school. So, guys might sign up for just that reason, but if, even a small percentage of them go on and continue the education or a spark catches, that was the plan. And so I was blessed to be able to be transferred to Northern Nevada Transitional Housing as one of the cooks and the clerk there, the culinary clerk. During my time there, I ran the kitchen, I was the dinner cook, and it was great being there. I was not eligible for community trustee at that time, so I couldn't go out and work. And when the computer lab was opening for TMCC, it was like, well, of course I want to do this. I'm a lifelong learner, and this sounds amazing. And so the lieutenant at the time only let us take 2 classes, and a lot of the courses are self-paced, so we blew through those. And me and a couple of other guys that started it, it just became it was fun. And I'll be honest, it was intimidating at first to think, man, I haven't been back in school in 25 years. These kids are going to be so smart. And, that wasn't the case. It was fun. It was learning new things. It was, such a deficit of programs in custody, or the programs that do exist are so difficult to get into. If a program only has 12 participants, good luck getting into it. This was just, it was amazing. And so I was able to transition out into the 184 reentry program and continue as a TMCC student. My reentry plan really was, I had found a position working in one of the resource centers at Edison campus, essentially the library, but we also do tutoring and help students with whatever they need. So my first barrier to continue my education was really that, the program that I had went into required a 40-hour-a-week job. It required 5 mandatory meetings a week for recovery, weekly check-ins with 2 different agencies. And so, balancing that with a full-time student, that first semester I was actually doing 27 credits when I got out. And so a lot of people were telling me, you can't do this. This is too much. So I was so hungry at that point, and I had seen an end game. I had seen a plan, and education gave me purpose. Within one class, I started to think, man, I could be a college, I could be a college graduate. I could be a college student. And I watched other guys around me saying the same thing, saying, wow, we're in college. Like, this is amazing. And it's such a change. And you start thinking about just different opportunities. At the time, I wanted to do the HVAC program. And I ended up doing the HVAC program, but also as you're doing the general education, you're getting a lot of opportunity to see other courses. And so I started working with other offenders that had been released, people that I knew, and they saw what I was doing, and they wanted to do the same. And so I helped 5 or 6 individuals, mentoring them, helping them through the process, because it is complicated. It's not normal for these guys to navigate the process of signing up for classes, financial aid. Jive was there to help, but there's still a little bit of the stigma, both real and perceived, where guys feel like, I can't believe I'm standing on campus. Do they know my record? Like, they don't think that they deserve this, or they think that society doesn't want them there. They think that, that people are going to treat them differently. And so, in some sense, there is a real aspect of that, but it's usually an internal thing that the guys are feeling. And once I saw a student generally get 1 or 2 A's down in a course, they're doing well, they really start thriving. And especially students that start working within the college, grabbing onto the social network that exists within the college structure through work study or instructor's assistants, people that become involved with the club structure. I've just seen fall in love and find purpose through education. There is an informational barrier for students. not knowing how the process works. Most students probably couldn't tell you how a college degree works or what classes are necessary, and they don't know that they need to speak with academic advising. So there is barriers to that. The biggest barrier I would say was financial. Whether it's tuition costs, but living expenses, lack of funding, and finding a housing program that would allow you to both work a job and be a full-time student. But overall, I've seen such successes personally in the people I know that have just changed the way they look at the world, whether they're hopeful they're not going to be working in a warehouse job. I don't see, as education expands your horizon, you see what's possible, and you stop seeing criminality or returning to a drug addiction as an option. So I was blessed to be able to work as first in the resource center. I got involved with the clubs. I was the president of the Business and Entrepreneurship Club. I was the president of the History and Political Science Club. I got into student government. I was the vice president of student government. I worked as the instructor's assistant in the HVAC program. Once I did graduate in December, we had commencement last week, but I graduated in December. I applied to be a adult basic education instructor, teaching English language learners at our ABE campus at the Meadowood Center, which was amazing to get some teaching experience. I started the bachelor's program in career technical education and leadership, a bachelor's of applied science at TMCC in the spring of 24. And so it's really been, I'll just tell you, this position as the Educational Partnership Programs Coordinator is really a dream come true, because, I see what education has changed for me internally, how I look at life, like the changes that have been made when my horizons were expanded through education just moved me. And the effect I've seen on others up close, individuals that I know they're not going back to prison. They're not violating their parole. They have so much to live for, and their social networks have changed, their outlooks have changed, and they're just they're going to be contributing members of society. And I just I think that it's being in the coordinator position is such a blessing to be able to help these individuals that, I understand their mindset, both coming out or what it has been while they've been inside, and just to help navigate them through the system. Does anyone have any questions? Or
one thing I wanted to find out is when Jarrett did transition and he had that 30-hour-a-week job with us, and he was a student with us, he was actually told that he needed to drop out of school because he couldn't do that, and he needed to work full time. So he did find the additional hours to make up to the 40 that he was required to have, and luckily he didn't choose to drop out of school. He held pretty firm. But not everybody would do that if they were told they had to drop out so that they could make it work and be successful in their transition. I worry that some people would choose to do that. So I think that's a communication issue that we need to work with any of our transition partners on. But for those of you who might be connected in that area, that's really helpful to remember what a difference education can make, and that in a lot of ways is just as important as that job, especially if they do have one that's maybe 30 hours that can keep them going while they're in school. I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you, Dean Williams. And I'd like to just expand upon that point. So like she said, when I was first released, I had a job lined up at 29 hours a week, and I was told that's not enough. You have to have a 40-hour-a-week job. You might need to quit school and focus on that. You're in a drug treatment program. You need to do at least 5 meetings a week. And I said, okay, 5 meetings a week. I'll do that and I'll get another part-time job and I'll do the 27 credits. Like, I can handle this. But I know that others couldn't necessarily have done that. I saw other individuals who wanted to go back to school, but felt that they, you know, on top of the 2 check-ins a week, one with court services, one with PMP, one with a judge in a specialty court, they felt that their calendar, their schedule was already too chaotic and complex, and they didn't want to make a mistake and be late for something else so that they could go to school. And I heard several people tell me, you know, I'm just going to wait until I'm out of this program, or I'm going to wait until I'm at this other point, or maybe once I'm off parole, I'll do this. And I know that those individuals never got involved with Jive and are not currently TMCC students. Whether or not they went back to prison, I can't say. But I do know that I'm not saying that those other programs aren't important, and that, you know, rehabilitation meetings, whether Narcotics Anonymous or sober support, those are important. Counseling is important, but also my wish would be that those other agencies that people are responsible to understand that education is also equally important. But whether it's, you know, a traditional education like what I ended up getting, or whether it's a vocational program, a skills certificate, things that are actually going to change a person's, you know, career outlook and give them purpose.
All right, I know we're starting to run a little late on our time, so I'm going to take us back to our slides here. I think we've covered most all of these, and I think we understand the challenges of housing and the financial barriers. The financial barriers is something that we can certainly help as far as the educational costs. The legal barriers, I know, have been discussed a lot in the news here lately. Childcare, we know, is a challenge across the board for everyone. And then Jared has done a great job of talking about the social and informational barriers. The internal barriers, one of the things that we've had a lot of conversations about, the time management and the commitment management, making sure that they're meeting all of their meetings. Computer skills are another thing that we see oftentimes are a barrier for those who have been incarcerated. To understand the systems well enough to be able to navigate the online classes and communicate by email in the ways that they need to do that. And then the self-efficacy, the being able to believe that they have a future story, that they have a goal, and understand what they need to do in order to get that. And being able to advocate for themselves and ask for help. That's a big one. Fun pictures here. This was last Friday. Hunter was kind enough to allow me to wait just a day to get the pictures in from our commencement. There's Billy, Jarrett, and another one of our folks, Mario Cortez, who is currently at NNTH in custody there. The medals that they're holding up, those are the 4.0 medals, right, Jarrett? I thought so. Okay.
Yes, they are.
So we also have some potential solutions that we've talked about a bit. The support and advocacy, obviously communication is a huge piece of this, right, Jarrett?
Yeah, so like I said, I couldn't have done it without the individual that filled this role before me in the EPP program in Jive, was Dr. Chad Venters. You know, the ability to ask someone that understands the justice system and maybe the justice system mentality, say, hey, what do I do here? What I'm looking at this, what should I do? Or even, you know, I'm having difficulty with it, this class, can you give me advice? Having someone to turn to, an advocate or a coach, you know, that is what I see myself as a role in my role now, is I understand the resources available to our ex-offenders and our students, and so to steer them towards that, and then also to coach them and offer that guidance when they need it.
One of the things that we've been, we were honored to host Deputy Director Tess Tweed at the Applied Technology Center this week for a tour And one of the things that we talked a lot about is the planning, the prior planning upon release, and how early to start that. And she was talking about what if we started that on day one when they enter the prison system? How do we start that proactive planning so that people, when they're getting out, it's more than just, you know, getting the trailer and getting a car and getting a job. They really have that future story that they're looking forward to. And how to get there. What does that mean? Do they need training for that? Do they need connections for that? Who are those connections? Do they have the phone numbers? Do they have the warm handoff? So all of those things are potential solutions that we've seen work. We're doing that with NNTH now, and we've had amazing success with that. I forgot who was supposed to do these slides, Amy and Jarrett, so I'm just going to keep rolling until you interrupt me. The cooperative programs, as we talked about with transitional housing, does work very, very well. The communication with the caseworkers at NNTH about what is working, what is not working, what do they need, what is the communication gap. And the flexibility that we have, that not all programs work for every person, and being able to tailor those programs for the needs of the students, the schedules of the students, and figure out the barriers. What are the things that are going to be a problem? We had one incident early on where a student needed a laptop, so the college will provide laptops to students. We did not realize we could not provide a laptop to our NNTH student, because when he got back to NNTH, they're going, whoa, whoa, wait a minute. We figured that out. We figured out him having a locker so that he could keep that where he needed it, but not have it necessarily at the center. So being able to work together collaboratively so that all of the needs are met is really important. We've talked a lot about strengthening those collaborations, and then the enhanced support for funding opportunities, being able to work together to figure that piece out. One of our partners, Join Job Opportunities in Nevada, is a really good one. We don't have the funding for childcare, but they do. So if we can fund a portion of their education and they can fund a portion of the education, they can help with childcare. So helping to figure out those sorts of things to help alleviate those financial barriers so people really can't concentrate on their future goals. Few more pictures here. Mario Cartez, as I said, this is him receiving his degree from TMCC's president, Karin Hilgerson. And then there's a great picture here of Dean Williams and Billy Owensby. Jared, do you want to talk a little bit about the downstream effect here?
I do. So, you know, when we're talking about education, changing an offender, giving them purpose, we really have to also look at the downstream effect, the family reintegration. So when someone gets out and is doing well, it is inspirational for the family. You know, the people that have been left out while they've been doing time, you know, improving their relationships and stability within the families. You know, it provides a better model for the children and the children's future. It increases the likelihood of children pursuing higher education, and it breaks the cycle of poverty and crime. You know, we know that it's a 2% recidivism rate with a higher ed degree. That is directly proportional to everyone around them also. When they're a functioning member of society, you know, my son is enrolling in college this year and lives in my basement. And I don't know that he would be going to college if he didn't have the positive example that I am now here to provide. I was not there for 17 years of his life. And so, you know, I have, as important as my own purpose is, you know, trying to do something for him and his future, it really changes everything. And I've seen this in other offenders that I've worked with, that it changes everyone around them when an offender gets an education.
And of course, there are the societal benefits as well. If making sure that people are productive taxpayers in the community versus being reoffending inmates obviously has financial and societal benefits, and the economic contribution for that matter. This is all of our contact information. We're happy to speak to anyone about our experiences with the Justice Involved program. And I just want to flip one more and then I'll flip back to the contact information. But there are 3 guys who walked the stage this last Friday. I can tell you that Mario Cortez's parents came in from California. And he was escorted here to the commencement ceremonies by a caseworker from NNPH. And he told me later that the caseworker said that he was almost in tears because Mario's mom would not stop crying. So it was a really, really amazing opportunity to see the success that these gentlemen have had. We have dozens more who are in the pipeline, who are in school and headed in this direction, and their families are seeing it, and their children are seeing it, and their friends are seeing it. Jared has been recruiting for TMCC all along the way, and now he's getting paid to do it as well. So we're very, very proud of him. We're very proud of our students, and we're so happy about the collaborations that we have and the funding that we have from the legislature in order to make all this happen. And we really appreciate our opportunity to come and discuss it with you all.
Hey guys, Jared, when Ms. Williams was introducing you, I was like, I don't know if anybody's going to be able to meet the bar because her effusive praise of you in the introduction was pretty high, but you crushed it. So thank you. I appreciate your participation today, as well as that of Dean Williams and Ms. Sullivan as well. So let me ask if there's any commission members that have any questions for either Dean Williams, Ms. Sullivan, or Mr. Orcutt.
Hi, Edie Grossnick.
Hunter, to see if people are doing the electronic hand raise thing. I'm just looking at the screen.
I did. So this is Edie Grossnick with the Washoe County Public Defender's Office. This is more of a comment, really. Mr. Orcutt, your story is so inspiring, and I just want to thank you for sharing that, being such a great advocate. I think what stands out too from this presentation is not just the quality of the programming and the way that it changed your life, but the downstream effects. You know, as far as looking at cyclical crime, right, or generational. And so often we hear from clients how really kind of their parents weren't setting the best examples. But here we see people who are able to gain an education and gain employment, and overcoming those obstacles really teaches resilience and perseverance. And this was just such a great presentation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was a very good presentation. And again, if any of the council members need further information, please reach out to the NDSP staff. If you need any of that contact information at the end. Any discussion points anybody want to make before we move on? Okay, I will now close this agenda item. I will now open item number 5, the NLJRCC grant presentation. We'll get right into our conversation and updates regarding the Nevada Local Justice Reinvestment Grant happenings, and Director Powers and Marie Bledsoe will be filling us in.
Thank you, Chair. I'm just going to give a quick overview and then I'll hand it over to Marie for all of the details. As far as the grant right now, we have had $2.3 million requested. There have been $423,252 that we have approved through the review committee. And there is also $388,759 that is going through the review committee process at the moment. We did reject the review committee rejected 1.5 million approximately because the funds were not going to directly assist the members of the targeted communities or populations that the grant requests. There are 2 more rounds for the grant applications. So those end on Friday, June 7th, and then the last round will end on Friday, June 21st. So if there are people in your communities or agencies that you know of, please, please, please get the word out. We would like to grant out all of the money. Early observations from the applications. The top 3 requests have been for personnel for continuation of existing services, money for reentry housing, and also to expand the services with contracted mental health providers. So those are the top 3 that we have seen. We are hoping that we'll see a lot more grant applications in these last 2 rounds. The process is a little bit slow. We have been hoping to see projects that would be expansion of services to target more people or different pieces to expand the services being provided. We are seeing a trend, though, that the requests are to keep existing operations going. So that has been a little bit worrying because we know that at this point, this was a one-shot grant. We hope that we will be able to continue it, but we really hoped that we would see expansion of services rather than, you know, just trying to keep what's going on going. So that's basically the overview. I'm going to hand it over to Marie to talk about the details of what's going on.
Can we ask a question at this point?
Absolutely.
Okay, this is Demar Dahl from Melco.
Hi.
And my question is, you gave us 2 dates for when, what is it, round 5 and round 6 end? And if we don't get an application in for a grant by that time, then what? Do we not have an opportunity to apply later?
Generally, no. Just because of the deadlines for the rest of what we are required to do, June 21st is the last date for applications.
And so if we don't get it in by then we're out of it altogether.
Yes, unfortunately.
Okay. Is this going to happen again? Do we anticipate more grants being available later, or?
Not from this appropriation. We are hoping that we grant as much as we possibly can out at this time, and then we hope that it will be renewed during the next legislative session, but we'll have to wait and see.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Marie?
Thank you, Director Powers. I do want to mention that because the grants, we're still accepting grant applications, we can give you kind of an overview of what's happening, but we can't really get into too many details. So what I want to do, I'm going to bring up the document that was provided in the packet. And hopefully you guys can see that. So this is available online. It was part of the meeting packet. And this is an overview of the grant application rounds 1 through 4. We did start this grant process March 15th. And so it has been ongoing since then. So round 1, you'll see here, there's a line for the round numbers. Round 1, we got $531,986. So from that, we've granted $70,001 to Douglas County, $153,291 to Humboldt. And I'll be getting into the details of this in a minute. Lyon County, we were just able to confirm this with the peer review committee today. So instead of this being to be announced, I can let you know that $199,960 is going to Lyon County. So we have resolved that, which brings us to the number that Georgia gave you, the $423,252. Where you're seeing zeros, those grants were denied funding. And again, I'll get into those details. Where you're seeing the letters TBA, these still have to go through the peer review committee. In round 2, we did not get any grant applications. Round 3, we got $1.478 million worth of requests. This $61,000 grant application is for victim services. There is a carve out of $300,000 in this grant for victim services. And to this point, we've only gotten the one grant application for those funds. And there was the $1.4 million grant application from Pershing County. Again, we'll get into those details. It didn't really qualify for what we were looking for. And then in round 4, we got 3 more grant applications from Clark, Mineral, and Story County. Those altogether added up to $327,000. So the round 1 grant application ended April 12th. And the dollars that we're granting out, the first grant is going to Partnership Douglas County for their expansion of their MOST and FAST programs. So their MOST program is a mobile outreach unit, and they do deflection to keep people away from going into jail or the prison system. The FAST program is a deflection, diversion program rather, and it is to keep people who have been in prison from going back. So a couple highlights from this. With these grant funds, they're going to be able to continue the MOST program for a 9-month period for this grant. They're going to be able to expand the FAST program to include more low-risk individuals. So they'll be able to assist 120 more people and do 240 more contacts over a 12-month period. And then they're also bringing in Suicide Prevention Network to teach some classes to, they're estimating about 40 people. Now you'll notice there is a discrepancy here that the MOST program is only being funded for 9 months, while the FAST program is being funded for 12 months. The reason for that is that the MOST program was losing their funding at the end of September. So this grant money is going to be able to continue that MOST program in Douglas County for an additional 9 months. So that'll start October 1st, which is why there's only 9-month period here for MOST and a 12-month period for FAST. The second grant is going out to Humboldt County Human Services. Their request from the funds was not $93,000 with a match of $36,000 for a total of $129,821. And this was for their reentry services in Humboldt County. They were going to be focusing on purchasing, getting things like employment documents, IDs, social security cards, birth certificates. And they were also wanting to provide temporary housing for up to initially 3 months. When the peer review committee reviewed this grant application, we went back to Humboldt County and said, would it be possible to extend that 3-month period to 6 months? And Humboldt County came back and said, yes, we could do that, which is why this grant increased to $153,000. So they are now expanding temporary housing for up to 6 months, and they are including in that a pilot project to help fund rent or deposit for individuals who are in need of that service. So what they're going to do is track these numbers separately. So they're going to, this is a pilot project that they'll track and make sure that they're keeping information on the pilot project and how successful that is. So that's Humboldt County Human Services. The grant number 3, which we were just able to confirm today. So this to be announced is now $199,960. This is also a reentry support program, really focusing on their FAST individuals within Lyon County. What they found is that they had a 40% rearrest rate for the individuals that were being contacted by FAST. And they wanted to figure out why that was happening. So what they're doing is a pilot project to add peer support. So individuals who have been through prison, who know what it's like to come out on the outside, and are going to be able to help these through in-person and phone support after they're released. So that is going to be added to this, and they are going to be adding a grant, a tracking program so that they can see if this new project reduces their recidivism. So they're kind of focusing on this 104 individuals that they saw last year. They're going to track those same numbers this year. In addition, this grant is going to be supporting additional staff who are going to get trained and do some out-of-state travel to get to that training. So I want to do a shout out at this point to the peer review committee who helped with this. They were instrumental in really diving into the details of each grant application and providing feedback. So it was the peer review committee's decision to not fund 2 of the grant applications that we got. 2 applications were from a single nonprofit that does work both in Esmeralda County and Nye counties. And I gave a list of the reasons why these grants were denied. And Georgia talked about that up front. They were trying to do a continuation of existing services versus an expansion of services. And they also were an organization that does referrals. And the peer review committee really wanted to see this money have a direct impact on the target population. And then finally, the grant application, because it was a continuation of services, lacked specific goals. And so it was hard to figure out what the money was going to be for. And so we asked this nonprofit to please reconsider their grant applications and reapply by June 21st. So I have had discussions with them, and they are planning to do that, to reapply. So that was round 1. Round 2, we did not get any grant applications. That application opportunity ended May 10th. I beg your pardon, April 26th. The third round ended May 10th. We got 2 grant applications. One, this application 6, was that nonprofit that requested $1.4 million. Again, not a good fit. It just seemed that the principals who were involved in this nonprofit really didn't have any experience with this target population. So we provided technical assistance to them and offered them the opportunity to reapply if they wanted to. Application 7, this is the only application we got for victim services. They do work in Esmeralda and Nye counties. And this too was a continuation of existing services request. So we've been working with them to just make sure we understand their needs. And this grant application, application 7, is going to be put into the round 4 grants. And all 4 of these grants will be reviewed together by a peer review committee. So this final round of grants that we received that ended May 24th, once again, application number 8 and number 10 are from the same nonprofit that operates in Mineral County and in Story County. These are essentially to bring in a community health worker to their team. This is to add the health worker in Mineral County. They have 1 health worker. They want to add a second one. And this person is going to be focusing on their FAST-like framework. But they do not have a most component, so they're going to be exploring how to have one person be both fast and most, do that sort of crossover. I'm going to jump down to application number 10 because it's the same nonprofit. These folks are going to be operating in Story County, or that's their proposal. This again is just a continuation of existing services proposal. They're about to lose the funding for the person that they have in this position. And they describe this as a most like or fast like community worker. They don't distinguish when they have someone go out, whether they are in the community or in the jail. So this is a combined opportunity for Story County. And then finally, application number 9 is from Municipal Court in Clark County. This is for their mental health court. So they're asking for essentially $100,000, which they're matching above the 30% rate at $43,000. And this is to expand their services. They can currently do 30 individuals in a year with this mental health court. They want to expand it by 10 people to do 40 individuals. They also discovered that they have a recidivism rate for their graduates of 38%. So they have a data gathering and analysis component to this grant application that is going to look at why that's happening. And so that is the essence of that. I do want to give you guys a couple tips if you're thinking about applying for these funds. Let me give you a couple things to think about. If you're an organization, like we've seen a couple times here, that operates in multiple counties, ideally, we would like you to submit a grant application for each county. If that's not possible, then within your grant application, within the budget and within the budget summary, or the budget narrative rather, please break out how these funds will benefit each county, because we have to do that work anyway. So we're going to have to figure that out. So try and do that, figure that out up front. The second tip is that within the grant application, the third question is called consultation of prison population data by county. And in that question, we're asking applicants to please look at our website, the Nevada Department of Sentencing Policy's website. We have a data dashboard out there, and we are giving you data on the prison population, that people who are returning back from prison. We're consistently seeing that applicants are just skipping over this question and not trying to do this analysis. And once again, we're going to send you back the grant application. We're going to ask you to do it. So please, if you're thinking about submitting a grant application, don't skip that question. It's at the bottom of page 1 of the application. Chair, that is the end of my presentation. I will stop sharing my screen.
Sorry, I was still muted. Thank you very much for that. What questions do the council members have in regards to this and the grants? I just want to add a plug. It's not really a question, but you know, after the presentation that we saw today, and knowing these funds are out there, think of the connections. I was excited at what we heard, because it's like the next step of where Humboldt County is trying to go with the funds. So there's lots of options and directions to go.
I have a question. This is DeMardal again.
Yes, go ahead.
Who do we contact to request an application?
If you go to the Sentencing Commission website, there's a tab at the top that says grant, and every step from the notice of funding that went out to the questions that you have to answer and the format are all in the tabs there on the Sentencing Commission site.
Okay,
and then Maria, if you want to change that, I just know that that's the easiest access, but if you have other ways you want people to get it, please feel free.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I'll just add, that is the best and fastest way to get it, is to just go to the website.
Thank you. Other questions? All right, if you think of some later, please reach out to Marie, myself, Georgia. We'll be happy to connect you to the right person.
Chair,
Yes.
I think Mr. Hohenstein has a question.
Oh, yes, please. I think you're muted. We can't hear you. We can see you, but we can't hear you. And I saw you mute and unmute, but it's not connecting. Can you type your question in the chat by chance? Sorry for the technical difficulties. Bear with us. I believe he's sending us. Is there a final effort to publicize these opportunities? I'm going to let Marie speak to that because I don't want to misspeak.
We do have a listserv, and so we have been sending emails out to to the folks that we have on the listserv, it's about 250 people. But it's entirely possible that we're missing folks on that list. And so if you have somebody that you would like this information, please let us know. I'd love to send them the information, get it out to people.
Or if you
And
know
I would,
another public space to put it, or another listserv that might be good to send it out to, please let us know, or just forward it, please.
and one of the things we had discussed last year when we were getting this set up was getting it to the county managers to then kick out also to everybody. So I would encourage you to do that. And then I've just been sending the link to people that I know in our county that might be potentially interested. So next question, are the grants available to tribes?
Yes.
Go for it, Marie.
Yes.
I was going to say that, but it might be best coming from you. So
Yes, as long as, of course, they're focused on this particular population and the what the grant is focused on, which is recidivism.
Oh, that's not.
any other questions or people I have not seen with a question?
Just repeating the deadlines, June 7th and June 21st
Correct.
to
June
have the
21st will be that final one. Yes,
to have applications submitted.
correct.
Thank you.
Yes. And then the NDSP group is very, very handy. Like they'll review it, and if something's missing, they'll be in touch with you before it goes to the review committee. That way everything is there before it goes. They're a very big help. Any other questions? I'm trying to look at both the chat and hands and unmutes, so I don't want to miss anybody. This is the whole purpose that we've been working towards, so please, if there's something left to ask.
Julia Marie, I have a quick question. Is there like a template email or something that you used on the listserv when you sent out to the partners you were aware of that you could share with the commission members that we could use to push out to additional contacts within our own counties?
Yes, absolutely. We have the notice of funding opportunity and then some other verbiage, and we can actually send it out to all of you as soon as the meeting's over.
Great, thank you.
All right. Well, I'm not seeing anybody else, so with that, I will now close this agenda item. I will now open agenda item 6, the dates for the meetings for the rest of the year are provided in the agenda. Our next meeting will be August 28th of 2024, and then we will meet on October 16th of 2024. Our staff is already working on more topics and items for discussion at future meetings, but does anyone have anything to be considered for future meetings? We had the presentation today on reentry. The last meeting we had a presentation with more live and interactive, but if people have ideas, please feel free to share them at this time. All right, if you think of anything that you would like to be considered for an agenda for a future meeting, please contact myself or the director, and we'll be happy to help coordinate that. All right, I will now open the second period of public comment. Just as we did during the first period of public comment, those who wish to testify may do so by telephone. Due to time constraints, public comment will be limited to 2 minutes. Any member of the public that exceeds the 2-minute limit may submit your testimony in writing to the Department of Sentencing Policy at sentencingpolicy@ndsp.mv.gov. Again, please mute the device on which you are watching the meeting. All sound will come through your telephone. At this time, I will ask staff to manage and direct those who wish to testify. Ms. Jones?
Thank you, Chair. Members of the public who would like to testify by phone, press *9 to raise your hand. When it's your turn to speak, press *6 to unmute, then please slowly state and spell your first and last name. And Chair, we have no one who wishes to participate in public comment.
Thank you. That concludes our second period of public comment. Great work, everyone. Thank you to the staff, the members of the council, and our presenters. We have accomplished a lot today, and I look forward to seeing you on August 28th of 2024 and to continue our efforts. This meeting is now adjourned.